will be going super. We'll get something that's designed specifically for this very soon. It looks like we are live streaming on multiple platforms now. I'm here with Mr. Mark England. He is one of the founders of Procabulary and Lifted. He is a language geek. What I mean by that is mindset. He's really good with the mind, and I named the show "Shaping the Mind" with Mark England, and because that's what I think about when I think about your work, is learning to shape the mind into a direction that we want it to, and away from the usual mess that you find it in. Would you say that's accurate?
That's accurate. It's a practice. It's a practice. We can make it fun. We can make it all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
You're well versed at this too, Mike Bledsoe.
Yeah, we've done some stuff together. So
we have. I did a little memory lane. It was 2 days ago about our welding each other at the hip. And how's that? How's the internet?
It's great.
Internet's all good.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together.
Okay, cool.
Over about I don't know how we've known each other for 3 years now. Is that what it is? Jesus. So,
January 20th, 2017 is when we.
Yeah. So yeah, over 3 years, and yeah, it's been a really, really cool journey. I've learned a tremendous amount from you, and it's been it's helped shape who I am, and my ability to create has been heavily influenced by your work. So thank you.
Pleasure.
I'm curious, what are you working with right now? So you work with clients every day. You're on the phone with clients every day. You're doing Zoom calls with clients every day. You're helping them with distress. You're helping them with anxiety. You're helping them with, some people are like, I just want to optimize. But I imagine that there's a lot of perceived threat right now, which puts people into a much more sympathetic nervous system state where they start going into fight, flight, freeze. They start making choices out of what I call like survival. It's like, okay, I'm now in survival. Now I'm making decisions from usually a very poor place. So what are you witnessing right now with clients that's coming up?
Talking a lot about breathing, man. I used to coach hard, Mike. I thought that I had to have the answers. I thought I had to be the wise one. And what I have realized over the years is that the client has their answer, and it's right in front of their face, right under their nose, right between their ears. And 90% of the time, if they down regulate, if they get their breathing in their abdomen, they can come to a conclusion. They can make choices that are out of that survival state and are in much more of a, I know you've used this word before, creative state.
Yeah.
And it's true, man. It's very true. And a lot of it is what I'm seeing in individual coaching calls and group coaching calls is, while there's more virtual connectivity, there is less opportunity for people to be heard. So I'm listening to, my clients will get on and they'll just talk for 15 minutes about the things that are stressing them. And a lot of times they're talking fast about it, Mike, because this thing is real and it's in their face, and there is the threats here. And 90% of the time right there, I've said, cool, great. Take a couple of deep breaths. Tell me all of that again.
Yeah.
The past couple of sessions this week, it's the first half of each session has been each person really repeating the same story a couple of times, maybe 3 times, at a slower and slower pace. So they do get to down regulate. They get that sigh of relief, of pressure. And then, I mean, you're a teacher, you've been coaching for a long time. They're much more easy to talk to. And a lot of times they're able to see their options as opposed to their problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Breathe.
Breathe, breathe, motherfucker. Wim Hof said it. He said
Yeah.
it and he was right.
Yeah. Can you speak to, you know, you and I have done a lot of work together, so we operate very similarly. And there's differences. And one of the things that we do have in common is we both identified and in the way we coach in that unless you're breathing well, there's no point in having a conversation, really. If you're up here, up in your chest, what can you even hear what I'm saying? Can you even hear what you're saying? I mean, it is funny. You repeat back to someone what they just said, and a lot of times they go, "Whoa, did I say that?" And it's like, "Oh, it's because you were breathing up here. You couldn't even hear it." What
We have
can you?
language. We have language. It's like talking to a brick wall. I'm going to move a little bit closer. I'm
Yeah,
in my father's garage in his office. I'm going to put the Packard in the background.
that's a much cooler background.
It's a much cooler background.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
legit. That's
And
legit.
Mike Bledsoe has actually filmed a video for an event that he was doing in Richmond, Virginia, in that same Packard.
That's right. I did. I got in that thing. That thing is amazing.
Dude, it's
For the people that are only listening, you can go see the video on YouTube or Facebook. We're live streaming there.
yeah.
I want to hear about the story. I don't even know if you've named it. I talk about it like the story breath. Like it's a vicious cycle, right? If your breath is out of alignment, then your story is going to be a certain way, and if your story is a certain way, it's going to cause your breath to do something. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, our breath. That's so. Mike and I, we met in January 2017, and in October 2016, I'm sitting I'm in my bungalow in Thailand, and having done years of story work alongside yoga communities, whether it was individual classes that we would craft or 5-day long yoga teacher training courses. And the reason that we were invited to do that work is because we're able to very simply and clearly show the link between what we think and say and how we breathe. And so I'm sitting there. I'd done a couple of I'd taken maybe 2 months of CrossFit classes that summer in 2016, and I thought, you know, I have something to say to CrossFit about this. Those guys are cool. Those guys and girls are cool. They work out together. It's tribal. It's some different training. So they've got to have open minds. They've got work ethics. And so I reached out to some people and we got put in touch. And as fate would have it, here we are. When someone goes into an up-regulated state, and this is how I used to live my life. I used to live my life as a fast talker and a tight, rigid person. They go hand in hand. When someone's in a stress state, upregulated state, sympathetic nervous system response state, pick your words, they're going to be breathing in their upper chest. That is a very uncomfortable place to live. And when home is uncomfortable, obviously the story that we tell ourselves is going to be uncomfortable. And when the story is uncomfortable, it's going to make the way we feel in our body that much more uncomfortable too. And it all comes down to education. We're not taught this stuff in school. Translation. We have to go on a search to find this information. I was a teacher before I got involved in this work, and I have a degree in education. And the only information about language that we got taught was grammar and definitions, and spelling.
Yeah.
No courses or classes or conversations on how our words influence our breathing and our posture and our our imagination and our feelings and emotions in ourselves and other people. So like you said, people do get, and it does need to be named. I'm talking to Adam Chin after this call. Uh, the vicious cycle of trapped breath, inflamed story, restricted breathing, sympathetic nervous system response, threats abound. That's very real, and it's a very real feedback loop. And you know, uh, blessings from above to the person that begins the process of dismantling that in themselves. Adam Chin, let's talk about him. He said it. He said, if you are comfortable in your own skin, if you're comfortable with yourself, then you've won. A lot of the self-help that I've looked into, I've done, facilitated, done on myself. If I boiled it down to one thing, I was searching for, and still continue to practice facilitating being comfortable in myself, with myself.
Yeah. What's getting in the way of that?
Habits, and patterns, and uh, as in our own and the ones we've inherited.
Mm.
Language is an inheritance.
Hmm.
The stories our parents told themselves about themselves, they heavily influence us.
Yeah.
The stories that our parents tell us about ourselves. You'll never grow up to be anything. You say that maybe just once to a kid, and that stuff sticks. As an elementary school teacher,
Well, even I mean, it doesn't even have to be said that way by a parent. It only needs to be perceived that way by the child.
mm-hmm.
So it's more important about what you heard versus what was actually said. And we remember things wrong a lot.
let's go a majority of the time, for sure. And there's glitches in our language that help us take things personal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't want my mother to be so sad all the time. Well, maybe she's only sad part of the time. Okay. And if she's sad all the time, then, well, maybe I'll try to make her happy. And let's say that didn't go so well. And so, because I couldn't make my mother happy, that means I'm not good enough, and so on and on and on. It's a very common story. I know you've seen this in your work a lot.
I'm curious about the story. So these are the stories I'm seeing emerging. We'll pick one at a time. I want to hear you how you've dealt with this, because I imagine you're running into the same thing. As I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. I am experiencing uncertainty in my career. I'm experiencing uncertainty with money. I'm saying it the way that I like to say it.
Sure.
How are people saying it? And then what are you seeing as far as common themes on unwinding that?
Well, I want them to get the whole thing out. Take some notes. Okay. Get the statements that sting the most, and then tell me more of the story. I want them to get it off their chest. Okay. And a little bit of down regulation, couple better breaths, and again, the whole thing's a lot more malleable. And from there, it's a lot easier for them to start to look at possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
at options, and some of those entail cutting off expenses. Some of those unnecessary expenses. If someone can save, $400 or $500 a week, with canceling subscriptions of things, that's a thing. The One of the scariest things for people right now is their perceived inability to participate.
Mm.
Okay, they can't do anything, and those statements right there, they just block. They block us from being creative. So yes,
Mm.
let's get them down on paper. Let's externalize them. We talk about externalizing the story a lot. The thoughts that loop around in people's minds. A quite magical thing happens when someone writes them down. Get them on paper, and it makes it more manageable. Wonderful. And from there, uh, I want to know what all of their options are, or at least more of their options are. And a lot of times people have options. It's hard to see them when we're stressed and tense and afraid.
Yeah. So I'm witnessing, talking about not being able to participate or choosing not to participate. They're seeing all the things they can't do. They don't see what
Sure.
they can do. Um, what do you say to the person, or what's this process like when they say, I'm just going to wait for this to pass to take action, to do whatever it is they really want to be. I'm just going to wait for this to pass,
Okay. That's a very good question. I want to know what are the potential outcomes for waiting to take action. And I want them to write them down. Very few people, and that's another thing. Even the worst case scenario, once someone writes it down and looks at it, is 100 times more manageable than the monster inside. I might have to move back in with my parents. I might have to sell my second car. I might, all the things that they don't want to do. Once they get that down on paper and they look at it and they're like, okay, that might happen. It gives them, well, Tony Robbins talks about it. He said the most powerful force in the universe is the one of anticipation, your ability to anticipate something, even a
Mm,
bad outcome.
mm.
So we talk about running the simulation a lot. Run that worst case simulation. Actually verbalize it. Actually get it out in the open. And if you're feeling really brave, write the thing down. And people do. People are more resilient than they give themselves credit for. The turns out the boogie monster in the closet is usually not that scary. Negation acknowledged.
Yeah. My experience is that, the things that are the scariest for people are just things that they've never experienced before.
Hmm.
This, if I do this thing, my experience with this whole coronavirus, I did things that I wouldn't normally do because
Join the club.
it was a new thing. It was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I've never seen entire countries locked down
Nobody has.
globally, not just like one or two or five, all of them, 180 something. And then it's like everyone locks down. Our own government goes into state of emergency. I'm going, never witnessed this before. I actually
No one
did
has.
not think there was like a part of me that was like, oh, I'll see something like this happen in my lifetime. And then another part of me is like, I don't know, it's going pretty fucking good. So so
Dude.
this whole thing goes down and all these new variables hit, and and fear came up. And I think I think that fear can be, it's a really great driver at times to take like action to protect and keep yourself safe. For me, I took some uh action. I saw what was happening, and I it was partly protection on some things that I've done, like stock up on food, be out away from the general populace. And then the other part was like, well, if I'm going to be stuck somewhere for a while, I might as well be somewhere beautiful. Let's go to southern Utah and look at some fucking mountains. And in San Diego, you can't go out in nature. Out here, you can go hiking and no one's going to bother you. So, a lot of that's going on, but fear came up and it was a driver. So there was actual benefits to it. Had I had no fear, I would, like, I like where it put me. And then there's, um, so what I experienced was, this is a threat I've never experienced before. But what I witnessed when it comes to people's story, like what's happening internally, a lot of times is This was a situation that was brand new, that was thrust upon us, right? This
Sure.
was something that was thrust upon us. People are avoiding new experiences that are happening internally. And it's like, oh, I don't want to have that conversation with that person. I don't want to confront somebody. I don't want to do that thing that's difficult because I want to avoid this feeling I have. Like,
Mm,
oh, I don't want to have that conversation with my mom or my girlfriend or my boyfriend because uh, just even thinking about having that conversation, I get a
fuckers
contraction
up.
in my body. I get puckered. And and so tell me like what is it uh how can we tell the difference between these two things is like what's an actual safety fear is present and fear is informing me to take uh to take good care of this human body that I've been given, and
Sure.
what is the fear that's just bullshit that's making my life harder than it really needs to be.
That's a fantastic question. To speak about, fear is it is a natural response. Under certain circumstances, I can think of you know most people being afraid. Like if a crocodile is swimming after you, uh and you got to hightail it out the water, that's pretty scary. I mean, there's a situation out there that will scare anyone. I don't know of anyone that's not afraid of anything, or is completely immune to fear. Maybe Byron Katie. I'm not sure. I did look her in the eyes once. That was a quite magical experience.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to go meet her. Just
What
on a
happened?
side note.
What was that experience like for you? I'm curious.
So she was the
All right,
first.
let's first tell people who Byron Katie is.
Right. She's the enlightened grandmother. She's she is. How do I describe that?
She would
Uh,
be the sage.
she'd
Uh,
be the sage.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's not a sage. She's
the sage, the
yeah.
most enlightened material I have ever come across, ever. Okay, and I'm a big fan of Taoism. Was her, it's called A Thousand Names for Joy. It's her breakdown of the Tao Te Ching.
Ooh,
And
where
dude,
can I find this?
she surpasses it. She,
Is this
she,
on
she,
YouTube?
it, I get the audiobook, A Thousand Names for Joy. You know what? I'm
Thousand
doing it. I
names.
haven't listened to that in a few years. I'll
I'm
do that
buying it
today.
right now. It's going on my
Yeah.
actually.
It is so elevated. It is so beyond good and bad stories, that Byron Katie is, any story that gets close to her, it's just like she's like this black hole of love, if that makes sense. It just sucks in the story, and just there's no, it's just gone. It's gone. And
Yeah.
she was the first person that uh I learned about projections with. And it was
Mm.
one of the hardest pieces of material to incorporate into into my own language. Was that, you know, um, that person just embarrassed me versus I just embarrassed me. And she has a very smooth way. And you know what? She does it. She does it in I took notes from her. So she has a 4-step process where she talks people through and loosens up their attachment to the story and then turns the thing around. So that goes back to what we're talking about upregulation and downregulation. If she just did what about her work is called a turnaround,
Yeah.
where she goes from, you embarrassed me, or he ruined my life, to I ruined my life. That's a huge, massive jump for most people.
Yeah.
Okay. It's too big of a jump. Their
There's
their
a
their neurology, their physiology will fight it because they're stressed out about thinking about that person that ruined their life. What they need to do in order for that concept to land, or all you coaches out there, what if you want to make your coaching job easier on you and get better results from your clients, learn to converse with them in ways. A lot of it is getting the story out of them, loosening them up, getting them breathing a little bit better or a lot better, and then they're open to solutions. Or
Mm.
in Byron Katie's work, a turnaround. I went up and spent 5 days with her at the Kripalu Institute in 2011 in Vermont, and we did the work about every single thing you can imagine for 5 whole days. And I went up and
I did some of her process on my own.
yeah,
I would, dang, I wouldn't even, it didn't even occur to me like, oh, go do that with her.
yeah, yeah. I went up to the front when everybody was doing their stuff, and I asked her a question, and I forgot what I asked. It was one of those weird guru moments that you hear about in India where everything sparkles and you're touched, you're anointed, and I'm just like, come on, man. I'm from the country, dude. That stuff doesn't fly with me. It happened. It happened. Seriously. I looked in
Redneck
her,
from Virginia. It
got
happened.
schooled, man. Got schooled by the grandma. And it happened twice, dude. It happened twice. I went and saw her in London, a full day event, and the packed about 1,000 people there. I get up with the microphone and I asked her a question, and the same sparkliness happened. I do remember this question though. I asked her, I said, do you still do the work on yourself?
Mm,
Right. And
mm.
this is what she said. It was so weird. It's her turning. She has become the process. She's become the witness of the story as opposed to the participant in the story. She said that their thoughts will arise, and she uses her hands to talk like this. And she goes, a thought will come up and it'll go, I want, and then it'll just recede back into the
Ooh,
void. That was her
wow.
answer, and I'm like,
Yeah, because we don't know what that's like. Because it's one thing to watch your thoughts. It's another thing for it to have to, because a thought has to have energy, right? The thought arises and then we give it energy. And then that's how it keeps moving. But she's not giving it any energy. That's a fucking super skill.
it's a super
Some
skill.
Yoda shit right
It's
there.
it's it's some major Yoda shit, and
I
what
think
she
that's what
does.
people are trying to achieve in meditation. It's like they're trying to jump to like the super advanced thing. Like that is a that is a uh that's something that emerges from doing all this other work. I don't think she was like, oh, I'm going to stop having thoughts. It's more of, I do all this work and then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you go, oh, because I did all this work, that thought doesn't carry the same amount of energy. And I mean, that's the
There's
work you
nowhere
do.
for it to attach. There's nowhere. There's no. She
Yeah.
said there's no home for it.
Whoa.
I know. And
That's some crazy stuff, man.
I there's a saying, there's a Taoist saying, you read a book 1,000 times, you're bound to understand it. I'm about 20 reads through the Tao Te Ching. I barely understand that. The parts that I do understand, it looks to me, ladies and gentlemen, and again, just some country guy from Virginia, she blows Lao Tzu out of the water.
Woo.
I know.
Woo.
So we talk about, I know your audience, fitness audience, and people that work out and things like that.
They do more.
Fantastic.
They do more than that.
They do a lot more than
They're
that.
tuning into this. They're
Yeah.
tuned into more.
Yeah. Progressions. A progression of learning how to do a particular lift or something like that. And I like to use that same word with story work too. It's a progression. It's a progression of completely believing our thoughts and our stories internal. It's so hard to do. It's okay. Let me translate that. It's a lot easier to do this work once it's externalized. I know you're a big fan of journaling for a reason. Get the ladies, gentlemen, get the stories down on paper. Okay.
Yeah, I've been telling people because I got into like journaling is one of those things where everyone says to do it, but no one knows how to do it.
Hmm.
And because they don't know how to do it, well, I don't think people continue to do it. The same with meditation is I meditated once, I didn't get any benefits, so I'm not motivated to do it. And so like journaling and meditation, both I started and stopped so many different times. And now I recommend people do your work, do what Mark England does, use those for journaling, for writing before you even attempt meditation, because that'll give you a foundation in which you'll understand what's happening in your meditation. So I just want to point that out for people. Yeah.
Progressions. Exactly. We have a good friend, Lauren Peters. She went and did a 10-day Vipassana with little to no training, just went in there cold. And she said she came out, she didn't have a positive thought for 17 days and wasn't sure if she was going to get back to normal. And I've heard that when I was living in Thailand on Koh Samui, working at the spa, they had a relationship with a local 10-day Vipassana, and people would come and do the cleanse, and then they'd go. And the people that had little to no training or practice in it, they suffered, they struggled because they went too far to the front of the line. If we're talking about meditation in that way, which I definitely agree. Getting your thoughts written down on paper and then looking at them. If you want to go from journaling to journaling 3.0, it's one thing to write out your story and still believe it. Okay. Yeah. Get your story written down and then just look at it and start to analyze it, as opposed to saying, oh, I just wrote that down, so it must all be true. Look at what sentences are more constrictive than the other ones. Look at what parts of the story are more inflammatory than others. And what that is a very good start. Going back to Byron Katie, to use her words, it's the beginning of the process of inquiry. They do a lot of writing in her work. It's called The Work. They do worksheets.
Yeah. So what are you doing about haircuts right now?
Fortunately, I got one before the everything stopped, and unfortunately, I shaved my beard right before the apocalypse. Man, I had a good country beard going, and shaved that thing off and got a haircut and looked 12 years old again, and then lockdown happens. So, you know what? I haven't even thought about that.
Is that you? Me ring? Who's ringing?
Not me.
Do you hear that ringing?
No, I don't.
Oh, my computer's ringing. What the fuck?
I had that happen to me on a call last night. My iTunes started playing.
iTunes isn't open. It stopped ringing. It's like somebody was calling. But I don't know what. Anyways, sorry, you were saying.
My haircuts not much on my radar. Like, I'll let it grow and then take care of that later. How about you? Is Ashley gonna cut your hair?
She offered, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna let the hair just let it go.
Let the hair go. Let the hair go.
It's gonna get gnarly. It's gonna get gnarly. It's I'm used to getting every 2 to 3 weeks, and it's getting a little long on the sides. We'll see what happens.
Looks good, man. You got the thing going up in the front.
I know. It does that.
What are you doing for your self-care, man?
Man, I have got more structure in my life now than I ever had before. It's interesting because I'm hearing a lot of people report the opposite. There's a lot of people have had external structure. Like, oh, I gotta be at this job, or even if it's self-imposed external structure. I definitely had that, where you make commitments to things and now you're going to go to them. Now, so now I'm in a house. I'm like, oh, okay. There's nowhere to go. And, I start working around 10 a.m. So, Monday to Friday, which is also unusual because I used to not even, like, the way my life was previously, there was no weekend. It's like every day was Monday, every day was Friday, what the fuck ever, who cares? Like,
I saw it.
Yeah. I mean, I would work all weekend, and I remember people being like, "Oh, you work on the weekends?" I was like, "Yeah," but I also took Wednesday and Thursday off and did nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I had fun.
Yeah.
So that's how life was. And then all of a sudden it's like everything. And I was like, wow, I can be more productive if I'm working the same days everyone else is working. So, um, yeah, self-care. Like I really looked at this, this coronavirus thing. I've been big on self-care and preaching it and doing it. In the last few years, I've taken better care of myself than I ever had in my entire life. And, uh, looking at this virus as a threat, I go, you know what? There's part of me that looks at it and goes, it's not that big of a deal. When I look at the science, I look at the stats, it's the threat is, in my opinion, inflated. There's a lot of hype around it. And yeah, it's a virus that does attack the lungs, and it's, it sucks. And it does kill people, not as many people as the flu, but it kills people. So my attention the last few weeks has gone heavily on disease. My attention has gone specifically viruses. I started looking, I have been familiar with how viruses work. I know, the basic biology, some molecular biology that's involved there. Um, and I've always just, gone about my life going, my immune system's pretty good. I work out, I do occasional breath work, I do medicinal mushrooms. I take a lot of supplements that are, antiviral in nature. And so, but I wasn't, just kind of doing pretty good with it. And now, I go, okay, one of the things that is novel about this virus, one of the things about coronavirus that is interesting is that it spreads incredibly easily and incredibly fast. I think that's one of the things that's created a lot of the fear is even it is the speed at which is. So I'm looking at it, I go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get this the same way as one day I'll get the flu. Like, you just come across it enough times, your immune system is suppressed because of stress or something happens in your life, and now you're going to experience more drastic symptoms of having the flu. So yeah, the last few weeks I'm going, you know what? Let's make my fucking immune system as strong as possible. And how do I do that? And a lot of what I've done for self-care, I go, okay, this is good for this, and I've thrown it in, but I haven't taken another look at, my supplementation. I haven't taken another look at my nutrition in a while. I haven't taken another look at a lot of things. I've just been, accumulating because these are good for me type of things. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start living my life like I'm gonna get the coronavirus in the next few months. Like I'm getting it. And when it hits me, I'm gonna fuck it up. So like
that's the military guy
that's
in you. No one's saying that. I've never heard anyone say that before. I'm gonna fuck this virus up, man.
Yeah, like this virus doesn't fucking stand a chance. Like inject it in my vein. I got it. You know what I'm saying? So I I I hope people are watching this live. Yeah, I mean, like, let's fuck up the virus. Why is everyone's on the defense? Let's go on the offense. God, everyone's such a bunch of,
That goes back to that deep question that you asked, and I'll get close. What's the difference between fear that's good for us and fear that isn't? You more eloquently posed a question. I'm not negation acknowledged. I'm not much on being prey.
No.
Fuck that, dude.
No.
Okay, something startles me, something scares me, and whether it's a good move or a bad move or a series of, or if it's a mixed bag of moves, I'm taking action. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Same thing. You and I are the same way in this way. Someone breaks into our house. what is our experience in that moment? I imagine for you to be the same. It's like there's a little bit of excitement in there of like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this person up.
Yeah.
Someone breaks in the house. Most people crawl under the bed,
No,
right? Like, I just want to be safe. It's like, no, 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 no. We're gonna go get this motherfucker.
no.
So same thing here.
Same thing here. And taking action is what did Maimonides, I butcher that guy's name every time. He goes, I'd rather
The guy from India.
Maimonides, I'd prefer the fear of wrong action over the terror of inaction.
Yeah, yeah,
That's close.
yeah, yeah. And I'm a big fan of like overreacting. Like, I put in quotes, overreacting, and as long as you're not like creating unnecessary sacrifice in the overreaction, it's like, wow, you like really took that pretty far, but it didn't harm anybody, including yourself. And it's like, yeah, it's really good. So going back to your question, self-care every morning, wake up, breath work.
Mm,
I work on my breathing mechanics, and then I also put myself in a hypoxic state, which boosts the immune system. Additionally, especially when there is this threat of a virus that attacks the lungs, might as well exercise the airways as much as possible.
sure.
People are also experiencing hypoxia during the sickness. If you can condition your body to do well with hypoxia, which if you're doing most breath work puts you in a hypoxic state. When I'm saying hypoxia, that means reduced oxygen. So you're having less partial pressure of oxygen in your bloodstream, and it causes your body to respond in a way. So breath work first thing in the morning, hydration, high quality water. Then I take some supplements. The supplements that I'm taking a very high end probiotic. I am taking something that so I'll take the Metamorphosis probiotic.
Okay, very cool.
Not the Elemental Wisdom. That's wisdom spelled with a Z, elementalwisdom.com. You can use my last name with anything I'm listing, and you're likely to get a discount.
I've done it out of the blue. It's true.
Yeah, just if you're on a supplement site, just put my name in. You might get something.
I threw a Bledsoe in. I don't remember what it was, and I got 15% off. I was like,
fuck yeah.
fuck yeah.
So the supplementation is that things I'm making sure to take is that probiotic. Another probiotic from Biooptimizers. Again, you get a discount on that. Biooptimizers are probiotic. It's different. So the Elemental Wisdom one, it gets into the digestive tract, into your intestines and all that, and it actually creates cultures that, like, it wants to propagate. Whereas this other one from Biooptimizers, they refer to it as the Navy SEALs of probiotics, and those probiotics are specifically there to knock out the bad guys. And so I take both of those. I'm also taking cordyceps mushrooms. So I take cordyceps inside of the Organifi Red Juice has cordyceps, and it also has rhodiola, which I love for it helps with just stress in the body. It helps the organs out. So I'm taking that, and then I take extra cordyceps on top of that in my coffee. So I put an extra scoop of cordyceps because cordyceps mushrooms have been shown to have antiviral properties. So Organifi Red Juice because of that. Again, last name. Then another supplement. What is the other stuff? Oh, I'm taking turkey tail. So the Organifi Gold has turkey tail in it, which is good for the immune system. It's a mushroom. All the mushrooms are good for the immune system to a degree. Some are more focused on are more powerful towards the immune system and not other things, like turkey tail. And cordyceps is specifically good for increasing circulation, and it's antiviral. So if I get hit with a virus that is inhibiting my ability to breathe, this is going to help keep things open. I also do Hape once a day, which is taking Hape is a South American plant medicine. It blows up your nose. You basically take this ash, it goes up in your nose, and it causes vasodilation. So amongst many other things, there's some certain formulas that are supposed to be antiviral in nature. I say supposed to be because I careful about claims on things that I don't know 100% for sure. I'm more going off of people I trust that are experts in that field. And then, so my morning routine looks like that. It's breath work, that, and then I do some movement. So I do some really light movement where I'm pumping lymph. So I'm getting circulation of the lymph, and then I do exercise that circulates the blood. And then that is really, and then a couple days a week, I go for a run on these trails out here in Utah. I'm getting outdoors. I'm getting sunlight. I have a red light set
Sunlight.
up. So
Sunlight.
we use red light therapy in the morning. So during the morning, as soon as we wake up, red light comes on. We don't use any of the lights in the house. So between the sunrise and the red light, we're getting really high quality light in. And then, yeah, being outdoors, getting sunlight, all these things. To me, if you're, this is, and then I'm doing combo once a week. I do a 1 day fast. I do 36 hours of fasting, finish it off with combo, which is really great for the immune system. Both those activities are. If you can tell me something else I can do to boost my immune system right now, I'll fucking do it. And that's what I'm doing for self-care. Oh, the other thing is I'm doing, if we want to get really out there, I'm also every day doing some tantric exercises so that I'm getting no action during quarantine, but
Not many people are.
I can still train myself to be a sexual master on the other side of this. Come out, everyone else is dusty. I'm good to go.
You're ready. You're limber. You're loose.
I'm ready.
You're ready. Yeah, dude. Yes.
So that was a long answer to the self-care question.
Yeah, and everything was that was a lot of really good answers. A lot of really good answers.
What are you doing? You're on the other side. I'm in Utah.
Yeah, I'm in Virginia. We I came off caffeine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I came off caffeine. I am it makes me volatile. And I've known that for a while. And I bit the bullet recently because when I am smart enough to remember the teachings of a guy by the name of Stuart Wilde, I had a metaphysics teacher once upon a time, and that was him. And he would say, watch what everyone else does and do the opposite.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at the macro, the big picture, and news, caffeine, like because I can drink coffee, man. I love it. It's arguably my favorite flavor, and it also makes me
I'm with you,
stiff,
bro.
stiff physically, coffee. dude. I mean, I'm part of me is in pain because I'm off coffee. And where I'm going with this is I'm like, okay, if most of the world, you and I had a conversation about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4, where you said that you can feel a collective contraction going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm with you, man. I can. And that sounds weird to say. It would have sounded weird for me to say that 20 years ago. And it's like, I can. And so
everything that's experienced on an individual level is experienced on a collective level. And some people can actually are aware of it and other people are unaware of it. Everybody's experiencing it.
So I said to myself, it was similar to, again, I love keeping stuff simple, man. I'm a simple guy. When it came to presenting, giving talks, public speeches, when I identified the one word that I was my North Star, my guiding star in that whole thing, which was to be comfortable when I'm on stage. Okay, I don't want to be confident. I want to be comfortable on stage. That put everything in place that I needed to do in preparation to be that way on stage. And I did the same thing here. It took me a little while. The word is loose. I'm staying loose because I know that the vast majority of people are tightening up, and that is the exact opposite of what I want to do. So I walk. I go for a walk. I'm out the door in 10 minutes. Okay. I walk, I do a little bit of mobility work and uh, breath work every other day. And we also have, I got this thing about 6 weeks ago. It's called a chi machine. We
Oh,
talked about
I
that,
want a chi machine. You know what? That's
buddy,
another thing I can put in my routine.
dude. If you get
How much is the
dude,
chi machine?
okay. If you the chi machine, the quote unquote original is about $450. I got the JEACAN, something like that. I can send you a picture of the brand. That was $300. I had it overnight shipped. And it's $300. Okay, dude, I use that shit every day. When I come off of that thing, I am, because what you do is it's a box, and
Yeah, it cups your ankles.
yes, cups your ankles, your feet are off the ground, and then it shakes your ankles back and forth, which does this to your entire spine, and it loosens everything up in your abdomen. And when it stops, it's 15 minutes. It runs for 15 minutes. And when it stops, it honestly, it feels like you're on the tail end of a DMT trip.
Yeah, dude, I've done it. What? Who you waving at?
My dad.
Tell your dad hi.
I will. He
All
asked
right.
about you 2 days
Yeah.
ago. He said, how's your mic doing? I'm like, my mic? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he's good. He's in Utah.
What time of day is your favorite time to use the chi machine?
Dude, right in the middle of the day, about two, like between 12 and 2, because I've ramped up enough. And if I get it just helps me. You remember when this past summer when we were taking ice baths in the middle of the day? Because
Dude, it was so good.
yeah, it just broke the constriction of all the action. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with that, and it's better than a nap. So you don't have to nap.
Dude,
You
yeah,
get on that
napping
thing.
in the middle of the day can be difficult because a lot of times this bad boy's running.
Yep.
I'm putting it in my head. And you get on the chi machine and it just draws all your awareness into your body.
Big time.
Yeah.
It's so gentle, and I get off of there, and I'm just, again, that's my magic word for this, for the corona, for the Rona, is loose. I'm loose.
The
Last night,
Rona word of the day.
the Rona 2020, and a little bit of kettlebell work here and there. I'm not hitting anything crazy. Basically, everything I do is right now is controlled and slow and smooth. Okay. I am stiff and tight and tense and puckered and volatile and inflamed. And what that I just no, I'm going over here. Okay. I'm going over here. And all that stuff helps, man. It's yeah. Dude, get a chi machine, Mike.
All right. I'm here's the thing though. I got an Airbnb. I've got one pickup truck and it wasn't completely full when I got here, but it was, 3/4 full. So, and I've ordered a couple things that are going to have to go with me when I'm done renting this place. Well, there's an interesting thing you may find interesting. I know you will. So I'm here for a while, so I'm starting to accumulate some things. What I'm afraid of is I'll go to leave and then I won't be able to fit it all in my truck, and then I'll have to start making some decisions. And
hard decisions.
So, however, I've been nomadic for a while, and this experience has been really nice being in one spot out in the country. And if you would ask me even 3 months ago, it's like, do you want to settle down in the country? I would say no. I need to be close to the action. I need to be within 30 minutes of a great airport, not just any airport, a great airport. And I want to be in the action, I want to be around people. And I have not been around people. I've got 2 people with me, and we are out in the country, and we're in Utah, and I'm able to Airbnb a house for less than what I was renting a house for in San Diego, which is usually like, twice the price. And I started looking at prices of homes in the area, and I go, I can get a mansion for
Hmm.
cheaper than what I had, just a 1,200 square foot house in San Diego. And I actually don't like, it's good here. I'm really enjoying it. So I know that in my future, there's multiple homes and multiple locations around the world. That's given. And I did not imagine that one of my first ones might be in Utah, or I've been thinking about Tahoe, just, away from, a large populace, and largely just out in the quiet, and going days and days and days without, seeing very many people. That's new for me. And I'm really enjoying it to the degree where I go, huh, maybe I'll just hang out in this Utah spot for a while, or, rent something for a year, maybe shop for something to buy. I don't know.
Country living just got a whole lot cooler.
Way cooler.
Way fucking cooler.
There's
Dude.
no point to be in the city. I got friends in LA, and I go, why don't you come out to Utah? And they're like, we're going to hang tight. I'm like, why? You can't even go watch the sunset right now. You try to go watch the sunset outside, the cops are going to fucking bother
Fine
you.
you $1,000.
Yeah, you're going to get a ticket for watching the sunset. What's the fucking point? I got a great sunset. Purple skies.
Oh, me too.
I'm hanging out with Ben. We went for a trail run. We're watching the sunset, and he goes, oh, Purple Skies Majesty. I get the song now. I go, yeah. Yeah, man, it's fucking great out here. It's so great out here. I'm loving it.
How's the air quality, Mike Bledsoe?
Air's
It's fucking
amazing.
perfect.
Dude.
I
Air
know.
quality. I mean, San Diego was okay. I mean, we were pretty close to Mexico, but when we had the wind coming off the ocean, so air quality is pretty good on the West Coast in general. But dude, it's so good out here.
I got an amp coil too.
Is it? Yeah. Are you liking it? Are you still using it?
Used it today, and there's a chance that it probably saved my dad's ass.
Think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He was in rough shape for 2 years, man. They did every test they could think to do, and Hail Mary when I got back from San Diego, like January 10th. It was just not. It was bad, dude. And I went to my stepmom. I said, there is this weirdo machine that we can rent and give it a shot. And I explained to her the background. Amp coil, AMPCOIL. It's a completely different approach to health and well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear this, and I want to let people know is the current, we'll call it mainstream, the average person's understanding of the information that's been passed down is really old school disease management, is what we have. Old school sick care, disease management.
Sick care, disease management. Yeah.
There's the management is not even of the disease. The management is of the symptoms of disease, is what our sick care system is really good at doing. So, and anything that they can't find a direct correlation or causation of the decrease of a symptom, not the root, usually gets demonized and put on the outskirts, and people get called crazy. And this is where alternative medicine lives. And every fucking year, I watch something that was crazy, some crazy alternative medicine, whatever, get brought into the mainstream. And then people talk like it's the brand new thing. And then those of us who are living out on the fringe are going, oh, you finally listen. You needed some doctor on, some morning show to get behind it before you listen. And here's the thing is, the people who really care about their health, guess what? Health looks a certain way. don't be listening to us fat asses in lab coats. All right. So listen to the people who are doing it well. You know who I go to? The biohackers. The name I'm not a big fan of, but like biohackers are the cutting edge of medicine. And the reason they are is because they're not having to go through all these IRB review. Like they don't have to go and get permission from a university to test on humans. They're testing on themselves. And so I'm not saying that you should just do whatever biohackers are saying, but there's a lot of stuff, lot of development of things that are good for your health on the fringe that are not commonly accepted. The doctors will laugh at and make fun of you for using, and shit works. So, all right, I want to hear about the amp coil. I had to go on my rant.
Yeah, dude, please. That's that rant right there, about somewhere about the, the sixth, seventh time people have heard it, it starts to sink in.
Yeah.
So good.
Got to keep going.
Got to get in the reps.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's looking normal again. He woke up nauseous, like really fucking nauseous every day for 2 years. And it kept getting worse and worse. And, going back to touching on a point that we talked about as far as down regulating and breathing well. I have a rule of thumb that any strategy or technique that works with my nuclear family will work damn near anywhere. And we've all had those experiences with family, back to the breath, where someone says something, they talk about the thing that we're not supposed to talk about, and everybody goes, that. And then we say things like, you could cut it with a knife. The energy is everything's heavy. It's because people are holding their breath. So, my dad, he'd wake up, and most times I'd be up a little bit before him, and I just hear this dry, this retching. And I would find myself tensing up too. I'm like, oh, nope, not going to go the other way. So when that would happen, I would purposely get my breath down into my abdomen and relax so I could stay centered, as opposed to, sharing in the tents, sharing in the constriction. But that stay loose, people. Stay loose.
Yeah.
That's my word for the Rona.
Stay loose. All right, we're gonna cut it off right there. Mark, thanks for dropping in.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Giving tons of wisdom there. Tons of wisdom.
Hey, you too.
Listen to this man, folks, and take his course. Take his course. Go to
take our course. take Enlifted. It's funnier. Trust me.
You want to do Enlifted. Do Enlifted first. Go to enlifted.me, ENLIFTED.ME. And you get to see a course that Mark and I built with our friend Adam Chin. So the three of us got together in a house, and
Jack LaLanne's house.
Jack LaLanne's house. That's right. We Airbnb'd that thing out of Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. It's true.
And we put together, it's great. It's entertaining, and it's life-changing, and it's simple, and it's short. 10 minutes a day.
Mindset, language. You will laugh. You will laugh. You will laugh within the first 30 seconds of the first lesson. Road to Hell motivators. Dude, Mike externalized his evil inner workout partner, named him Billy, dressed him up in fucking funny ass t-shirts like my wiener's huge in Japan, and shut up and squat, and got the Dude, Randy Savage.
Did I tell you that after we did that whole thing, I showed my mom, and then she goes, why do you choose the name Billy? I was like, and I just came to me. She goes, that's your grandfather's name, which I mean, I never met him. So I was like, just never. And I go, oh, she goes, fitting. Like, he's a dick. It's like, perfect name. I channeled my grandfather. So, who I've never met. Perfect. And yeah, it's 10 minutes a day, 21 days. It'll change your life in really pleasant ways.
Yeah.
Really, really pleasant ways. Um, and here's the deal. Go take the course. Right now is the perfect time to do something like this
Seriously.
because it's who doesn't want to be entertained? I know I do. So you'll
Right.
get entertained, you'll learn something new, and doing this type of work right now is perfect because when everyone goes back out in the world, when this settles down, things are going to be different and you get to show up differently. And it's going to be really, really cool because I know a lot of people are doing this work. People who are in the Strong Coach program that emerge out of this are they're going to get the biggest benefit out of anyone who's gone through it before. Same thing with Enlifted. Any type of work where you are making a transformation in your life, now is the time to do that because it's going to be easier to integrate. There's already a lot of disruption. Your habits are already disrupted. The best time to make a change is right now. So yeah, I really encourage you to go check it out. And then on top of that, when you take the course, DM me, shoot me messages on Instagram. I answer every single one of
Yep.
my DMs.
Me too.
I know Mark does too. DM us and just tell us about what's going on.
We love
for
it.
you. I
It's
want to hear it.
hilarious. Yes.
Yeah, and I like when people just leave me little video messages or voice messages on the DMs, or you can text. I don't care how you do it, but dude, it's so much fun. Take the course and tell me what you think. It's well worth. It's worth 10 times more than what we're charging. We
Big
priced
time.
it. We priced it at a point.
$147, folks.
Yeah, we priced it at a point that we want it to move. All right, we want it to move. All right. You'll finish it and go, oh, that was a silly amount of money to spend. This could have been a lot more. So yeah, go over to enlifted.me, enlifted.me. Check it out and fill us in on what happens for you over there. All right, Mark.
Later, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Love you, buddy. Take it easy.